Good evening, everybody, or good afternoon, or good morning, wherever the heck you are, because we do have an international audience. My name is Francisco, and I'm joined by only one of my good friends today, and it is Sir Andrew here. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
Unfortunately, and I'm doing good. Unfortunately, our friend Charles was called away for work. For the first time, it's not me that's called away for work, so that's something new. It's usually me that has some sort of prior engagement with work, and this time it's
Right.
Charles. And maybe around February we might be getting this guy who's be talking about that type of stuff. As I'm mentioning, because Andrew passed half of the bar so far, so congratulations to you, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, sirree. Part of the misery is over,
Part of the misery.
and the next
Uh,
misery is coming up.
yep.
So, another eventful week. Thanks to football, thanks to the news cycle, thanks to baseball. Just all kinds of stuff is happening today, Andrew. I mean, we're going to get to a Senor Tebow, who was a bane of many Florida State Seminoles fans' existence. Even after.
Existence, really.
Yeah, and even the frickin' Dolphins' existence. And we'll
Mm.
we'll get to the Dolphins because their tank is growing ever stronger at this point. It's like, I mean, what is
It's the
it?
tankiest tank I've seen in a while.
It's like have you heard of Metabots?
No, I can't say that I have.
Okay, so Metabots was like a thing. I think they were trying to be like Pokemon, where like okay, you play against each other, like they're like physical toys, and if you lost to your opponent, you'd have to give part of your like they were toys that you could piece together, and if you lost, you had to give part of your toy to the other person. So you could, I mean, if you're really good, I guess you could create a Metabot that was super uber strong um, as you kept accumulating wins. But the Dolphins keep accumulating losses that creates the tank that is strong beyond all reason at this point.
It's going to be an impressive tank.
Yeah.
I can say that for certain right now.
We've got baseball going on. We have the playoff races, and we have some separation between the pretenders and the contenders.
Hmm.
And we also had a tank series most recently. And we'll look at the tankathon in Major League Baseball as we're coming down to the wire, and there's probably like 3 or 4 teams that are still vying for that number one pick. And who knows? It's an exciting backwards race that we like to look at. Another thing, minor league baseball playoffs happened. National Hockey League preseason has finally started, and we have some labor peace talks. So we'll get to that, and of course college football because football, football, football.
Hmm.
Ooh boy,
Guess
I
let's dive right into it.
I have no idea where to start. The video game here is Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Winter Games. This is the Vancouver 2010 version. So, hockey rank here that I have in front of me is actually the Rogers Place out in Vancouver, Canada, home of the British Columbia, home of the Canucks. So, that's that. Andrew, I don't know where you want to start.
Uh,
We can go hockey. We can go
I
baseball.
guess
And
let's start with hockey. Why not?
eh,
We're discussing it.
I got hockey in front of me, and I've got my hockey team here. Very very well constructed team of Mario, Daisy, myself, and Knuckles. And we're gonna face off against Yoshi, Metal Sonic, Sonic, and Peach. Certainly not Gordie Howe and the Detroit Red Wings, but whatever. Uh, it, it, It'd be kind of weird if that were to like. Well, it's not kind of weird. Mario's faced off against like professional basketball players already in the NBA.
Right.
I don't know if you've seen South Park where Stan was the coach of a Pee Wee hockey team, and they had to go against the Detroit Red Wings.
No, I didn't see that.
Well, look it up on your free time on YouTube, and you'll laugh your butt off. It's fantastic. It's actually the whole episode is fantastic. It's so ridiculous, but it's so funny. Okay, so National Hockey League. Big news was that the National Hockey League and the Players Association agreed to stick it out with the current collective bargaining agreement, which I think was agreed upon after the last lockout, which was in 2012, right? Yeah, 2012.
Something
2012.
like that.
2012 was the last lockout, and they had the 2013 shortened season. So what that basically means is that there will be no work stoppage for at least until 2022.
Which fantastic. It's about time that they look. I get it. The owners want their cut. The players want their cut. I see both sides. But I mean, look what happened with baseball when it completely shut down for an entire year. That
Well,
that took so much wind out of the sails of baseball.
well, I mean, hockey experienced it themselves. They shut down the 2005 season.
Right. Um, I mean, people, they lost so much respect and so much fan base. I mean, even in the partial shutdown a couple of years ago, a lot of people just swore off hockey and
Right.
said, look, I'm done with you.
I I think well they're looking towards the other leagues. That's one thing. Currently, Major League Baseball has been in peace, like labor peace, for I mean since that 1994 season.
Right.
95 was a shortened season in baseball, and that's the only reason the Braves could even win the World Series. And once again, I'm going to jab on the Braves. We're going to keep doing that, so don't worry. But the NBA also had a lockout that 2011-12 season, and the NFL had a bit of a lockout as well, but enough to get back for a full season a few years ago. But all of them in relative peace talks. I think, look, hockey, I mean, it was awful that losing the 2005 season. No Stanley Cup awarded or anything like that. But, and 2012 really, like you said, left a really sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. I mean, I remember, because that was like my first, I mean, my first full or second season of being a really true hockey fan. So I was just itching for hockey to come back. But not a lot of people were like me, who was just like, okay, wait, we'll stop bickering and then we'll get back to it. But I think one of the key things that allowed for this to happen is the salary cap has risen. I think that's one thing, that it has risen. The players are getting paid more than they've ever been before in hockey. They still don't get paid the numbers that baseball players or basketball players and some football players get. But the minimum wage for a hockey player at this point is $750K, which is not peanuts. That's well more than enough to make a good life on, especially for at least 1 year. Another thing is the TV deal that's about to happen. So I think, when was it? About 2000 and it might have been 2010. Yeah, I think 2010. I think this is the last season of the deal between the National Hockey League and NBC in the United States. In the United States, NBC holds the national televising rights for the NHL. So that means they're the only ones that will broadcast it. And what that means is that no, ESPN will not broadcast hockey, neither will Fox nationally. Local affiliates are different. And I forgot how much the NHL got paid for that. I don't know if it was like in the $1 billion range or something like that. And Daisy with a nice top shelf over Peach right there. But the deal is about to expire, and the NHL I don't know. You maybe, and Andrew hopes up. Maybe ESPN could pop right back into the conversation for hockey again.
Oh, you would be. You have no idea how happy I would be. Two reasons. One, that theme song. That is arguably the greatest sports theme ever created. I mean, it's right up there with Round Ball Rock over for NBC's coverage of the NBA.
Right.
CBS college football. Like we're talking upper echelon tier stuff right here. That's one. Two, you got to get Gary Thorne back.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you'll get a lot of the because I think what a lot of people may or may not know is a lot of the old guard at ESPN are massive hockey fans.
Right. No, absolutely. The only thing that worries me, though, is ESPN has changed so much since the early 2000s when they last had, once the last time that they regularly broadcasted hockey. So I fear that you can almost, it would be kind of remember me as I was in good times.
Yeah.
They could just absolutely just screw it up and spoil it and just, we wouldn't be able to remember ESPN hockey coverage the way it was, which was just so fantastic. You had Barry Melrose, John Butchergross, you name it. It was a murderer's row of commentators.
Yeah.
And analysis, things like that. So if it would return in something remotely resembling the way it used to be, then I'm all for it. But if not, then keep letting Mike Emmerich do it, because he does a great job too. Don't get me wrong. But I grew up with Gary Thorne. I remember watching the '99 Stanley Cup final, the infamous skate in the crease goal by Brett Hull. The 01 Stanley Cup when Ray Bourque finally got his championship. I grew up watching hockey on ESPN. So, call it nostalgia, call it what you will, but that's what I grew up with, and I think it's better than NBC's current coverage, to be honest. But if they're able to replicate the way it was.
I mean, well, ESPN has the World Cup of Hockey. That's what which was surprising by me that they got the rights to that. And also part of this deal means that the World Cup of Hockey is coming back. It was put on hold due to this labor talk. And of course, the NHL is not going back to the Olympics, which is what pretty much everybody really, really wants. But Olympics take place during the season, meaning the NHL loses the All-Star game, and the players have to travel to wherever part of the world. It was fine when it was, I guess for the NHL, it was fine when it was in Russia because of the huge amount of players that come from there and that such. And it was fine when it was in Vancouver because it was actually literally in the Canucks arena. And in Salt Lake when it was in the United States, but outside of that, it's a little too complicated. I think they went to Torino as well back in 2006. So that's nice. The World Cup of Hockey is coming back, even though it's kind of a weird tournament. But it's just because it's this of the structure so far, especially when there's two North American young stars and international young stars team. But peaceful labor talks in hockey, and I'm all for that. We're gonna get at least two more, including this season, 3 seasons more of hockey without having to worry about stoppage. So I'm glad about that, and then because another thing is that probably affected this decision is the players, and I don't know if you've watched this This guy on YouTube, he has a channel he's called the Hockey Guy.
The name sounds familiar.
Well, I think he's got, I don't know if he's got 1 million subscribers. He might, he's got at the very least 100,000. And I can't get a goal past Bowser. He just covers the whole freaking net. He's a great goalie. He basically, any sort of news that comes out for hockey, he's on top of it. And he's just a guy that's in his house. He's got like 40,000 jerseys, 40,000 hats of every hockey team. He just loves hockey. I think he lives in Canada, and I think I'm assuming he's a Bruins fan, but I'm not entirely sure. But he pretty much likes all the teams. He treats each team fairly. He doesn't get into the whole, okay, we should move Phoenix to Quebec, or Florida to Quebec, or Carolina to Hartford, that type of thing. He just doesn't do that. He just purely talks about hockey in its simplest terms. So he thinks that one of the major things was the Vegas Golden Knights. That the Golden Knights' success and seeing, yes, I finally got one past Bowser, and seeing how freaking organic it was, how Vegas has completely glommed onto the Golden Knights. They can't lose that momentum. They just can't. It would be devastating to the sport, because it wasn't just Vegas that caught on to the Golden Knights. It was a national story.
Right.
Which is not often when it comes to hockey, compared to football or basketball or even baseball. So, and now we have a team coming up in Seattle and they can't lose that momentum there either, because if they have the same, since they're going to have the same expansion rules as the Golden Knights had, there might be a chance that team could be decent. So no way that they can just stop right now. Plus, the Carolina Hurricanes just finally got out of the freaking basement and reignited love for hockey out in Raleigh. The Panthers actually have a shot at this. The Lightning are still looking to finally make it through the door. I mean, there's a lot of teams that are doing so well right now, and you just can't stop it. Things are going too well right now for hockey. So,
definitely.
I think this is the best course of action, and I'm glad that they did it. And they could talk in between there, and maybe they can even get some examples from Major League Baseball, because I think baseball's CBA is going to come up soon enough too. But they've been able to relatively and peacefully agree upon it going further. So, and maybe the TV deal that comes in from either, I don't know, they might split it between NBC and ESPN or Fox or Turner Sports. Who knows? But there's going to be more money coming in, that's for sure, and that's just good for everybody.
Yeah.
So, good on you,
Facebook
hockey.
Really quick.
Yeah, sure. You send me something, a link or something. Okay, 1 second, folks. So, what is this? A friend of mine, RCFB Mods, wants to call in. I'm going to try calling him in, getting his speaker to get picked up. You cool with that? Thanks for... And I actually read it out loud, so I don't know why I did that.
Thanks a lot. Man. That's not the point of that.
I was too in the mode right at that point. Okay, sure. Why not? Sorry, it's too late now. And let me close out of these things. So, all right. Other news in hockey. Let me look at my show sheet real quick. There was a new rules video that popped out, and I actually wanted to watch it with you because there's some new regulations, especially about replay. And I think we're getting this pretty much the same way that the NFL has allowed replays of pass interference because of that Saints game between them and the Rams. I think we're gonna get something because of Remember the infamous game between the Sharks and the Golden Knights?
What is it? The 3 penalties.
The 5-minute major.
Yeah,
And
something like that.
they allowed
No, it's the 5-minute major. They got 3 goals.
4 goals actually.
It was 4 goals.
Yeah, I think it was 4 goals that the Sharks scored on the Knights.
Yeah,
so,
I remember that.
So we're gonna get a change to that rule as well. So I want to get to the search screen real quick so we can look at that, because it's actually pretty huge. Another thing I actually wanted to look at was some of the new uniforms that are popping up for this season, and we're gonna head over to Sports Logos at some point as soon as I find this freaking search bar. Should be there. It is. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, so let's look at the logos first. Sports logos, and then I shall look on. Alrighty, hockey. Thank you. Good old Chris Creamer. And let's go to his main page there. Holy crap, the Golden State Warriors have unveiled 6 new uniforms for this season. Wow. That is a lot. Actually, let's look at those first. Because we... a little short on NBA talk right now, but... yeah. So, 6 new uniforms. A new font to their Warriors, so they got rid of the copper plate font that they've been using since their last rebrand. They have the Bay uniform in yellow that has what looks like a scene of the bay with like ocean ripples and the sun. And the ocean ripples kind of look like the bottom of a basketball, which is pretty nice. I like that. Following that, we've got their City Edition uniforms, which have the town. So it's the town uniforms, even though the town was signifying Oakland. That's the freaking oak tree there. So I think they're still trying to hang on to their ties to the city of Oakland, even though they abandoned them for San Francisco coming up this season. Continuing on, we've got their Classic Edition uniforms. So they have their classic The City uniforms when they used to play the first time in San Francisco. And they're basically a white road uniform, which just says San Francisco now, when they were not the Golden State Warriors, but the San Francisco Warriors. And let's see. And I think that's pretty much the full lineup. So, not bad. It was to be expected, given that they're moving into a brand new arena on the other side of the bay. I don't know. Not much to say, Andrew, there? No?
Not really.
Okay. Going on to hockey, I wanted to look at, and gosh darn it, Chris Creamer, you have like 40,000 ads on your freaking site. Like, it's okay, man. It's okay. But whatever, you do good work, so we'll help you out here. So the St. Louis Blues are bringing back their 1990s red uniforms. Well, they're not red. They're blue, yellow, and red. However,
red is an accent color.
Yeah, I think it's more than
even an accent.
Yeah,
color.
That's what I was about to say.
It's a pretty dominant color.
Yeah, I was about to say that's accent colors is like when it's like a little trim. This is more of a
right. The gold is more the accent color, actually. Now that I think about it.
Yeah. So they wore these back in the 90s. At that point, still had Brett Hull on the team. Had Wayne Gretzky on the team as well.
Yeah. He was the guy that gave up. I'm not sure how many people remember this, but he was the guy who turned the puck over to Steve Yzerman in that iconic game-winning goal that sent them. I don't remember what year or what round, but it was one of the years, I'm pretty sure, where they won the Stanley Cup. He just blasted the puck from the blue line. I'm not sure. Do you remember that one?
Well, let's see. We got 90. When did Wayne Gretzky play for them? Was it the 95?
But the moment I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, but because the Wings, because Gretzky, I think he only played for the Blues for one season, right? He was traded there from LA. I think it might
Let's
have been
find out.
the 95-96 season because in 95-96 the Avs beat the Red Wings in the Western Conference Finals. But that's their uniform. It's kind of they're the Stanley Cup champions. They can wear whatever the heck they want this season.
It
And
was looks like it was 1996.
yeah, okay. So it must have been during the playoffs against the
It
Wings.
was in the playoffs.
Yeah. So, and they have their slanted numbers in the back because of that slant there. Even though it's a weird look, but it's unique. They're only going to wear it for 3 games this season, I think. So it's not. It's not. It's unique. It's called back to the '90s. We're all right now. '90s nostalgia is huge, so teams are just going with it, and they're just once again defending champions. They can do whatever the heck they want. The Winnipeg Jets will be wearing navy versions of their WHA uniforms from back in the day. So I think a lot of people don't know, but even though this version of the Winnipeg Jets is not the original, which is now in
Phoenix.
yeah, with the Coyotes, they have retained all of the logos of and basically the brand of the old Jets. So the Coyotes don't really have it anymore. So that's why they can wear their old WHA and NHL stuff. So that's I think they wore their white versions of those already. So these are the dark versions, the colored versions. So it's not a bad look. It goes with navy, which is now their color scheme instead of the kind of royal blue that they used to wear. So that's what they'll be wearing during the Heritage Classic, and there it is side by side. The other uniform I wanted to look at, which is the Calgary Flames uniforms from back in the 80s. Their original sets, same set that they had from Atlanta, and they just changed the A to a C.
Right.
And it's basically the only jersey the Flames should have ever worn. Really, it is. I don't get it. The Flames have such a great iconic set, and they choose to go with the
monstrosity. That's a good word for it.
Monstrosity, the hodgepodge of lines and stripes, and the use of black in their current set, which they had a chance of changing when Adidas took over.
Right.
But
they decided not to.
Yeah, they kept the same look.
And look, I get it. They created that set when the new Reebok, I think it was the Reebok Edge, right? That's what they called it.
Yeah, that was back in
It's like 07.
Yeah, 07.
So they created under the old, it's hard to believe that it's called old now, the old Reebok Edge. So they wanted, I guess, to take the most advantage since there was a different piping system, different areas where you could put designs
right
that you didn't before. A lot of teams experimented with it.
Right.
The Blues, they used to have really random striping on the sides.
Yeah. The Lightning had like really weird stripes under their armpits.
Well, no. Well, they had that since the very beginning.
The victory stripes or whatever they call it.
Victory stripes. But, or even like Buffalo. Good Lord, the Buffa Slug.
Yeah.
Although that's less about the jersey design and more just them being really crappy with logos.
Well, yeah, okay.
But either way, a lot of teams that kind of experimented, they've gone far, far away from it. But Calgary hasn't for some reason.
No, but there's still rumored that they will change. I think next season maybe. So hopefully they get the point and are like, yeah, we're gonna go back to this.
I mean, look, I'm looking at the jersey right now. There is place for black in it. You see how the the stripes, it goes red, yellow, red, yellow, red. I
Yeah,
think you could replace the outside red, the tiny little ones. You could put some black there
if they want. I mean, it's still
if
not
they wanted to.
necessary. Right.
But it looks fine just the way it is.
Right.
But if they really insist on having black, um, then it's possible.
And finally, we're looking at, I don't know if you've seen this one either, the Edmonton Oilers alternate uniform this season. Yes, you have seen it then. They call it street inspired, but I'm surprised they didn't just say it was oil inspired, because that's what it looks like. It looks like it came out of freaking gunk of oil. That's what it looks like. It's just very, very dark navy blue, and kind of like a finish to it that really does look like oil. Looks like if you stuck your hand in it, you wouldn't, like, I don't know, you might kill a few seagulls or some turtles. So, I mean, sheesh, that looks like like a freaking oil tanker just spilled all over the ocean. So, and it's funny because Adidas is making those uniforms in college football, which are like recyclable or whatever. So it's kind of the weird opposite, uh, opposite message that they're sending here.
Right.
And then they wear that for the All-Star game last year too, like recyclable, reusable materials uniform. So the Edmonton Oilers are a team that flies in the face of that. But
So the Miami Hurricanes did as well.
yeah,
Couple of their sets.
yeah. So that's the look. That's the look that poor old Connor McDavid is gonna have to suffer through again this season. We need to save him at all costs. Gosh, he should pull. He should really pull. Like, you got to demand, like NFL players, just demand a trade out of Edmonton. Come on, man. At some point, something's got to give. Something's got to give, right? So they're looking at past Oilers alternates. They had the freaking the was it Todd McFarlane uniforms?
Yeah.
The guy who created Spawn before that. So this is their alternate. And I think was it a couple seasons ago, they changed to strictly orange as their primary uniform set instead of their classic 1980 set, which they had. After a long while, they didn't have it, and then they had it, and now they don't have it anymore. And everybody's questioning, why the heck have you messed with a classic uniform, with a classic design, with a design from your dynastic era to wear this? I don't get it.
And let's be honest, that is the only time that they've really had any sort of extended success.
Yeah.
So, hey, if you want to harken back to it,
And
it can't hurt. Maybe the design will rub off and give you some luck and make you go a little bit better.
I mean, yeah, they had that, and they had that fluke 2006 season, but other than
But
that,
they didn't even win.
yeah, yeah, but even then, still, like, gosh. All right, so that's our hockey, I guess, runaround. Oh no, there was one more thing I wanted to show you. I don't know if you want. It was a brand new rules video that just popped out from the National Hockey League. I haven't seen all of it, and I wanted to get your reaction to it. So let's head on to good old Twitter, where I had it saved on our Sports Goofs account, and then we'll move on from there. Okay, let's head on to our actual page. Where is it? And yes, we do follow Empty Seats Galore because it's a fantastic Twitter account. Oh, have you heard of the Twitter account called F Every Baseball Player?
Yes, I have.
It's surprisingly fun.
It is.
And he's going in alphabetical order by last name. By last name, I think he's on the H's or something at this point. So we got to Bryce Harper, and there was like 1,000 likes for that one, especially from Phillies fans because woof. And we'll get to that at some point as well because the Phillies are in trouble, in lots of trouble right now. So let me load this video if it will allow me to. And that is loud.
The National Hockey League has approved a series of rule changes for the 2019.
So yeah, they've new rules, expanded use of video review.
Enhanced player safety initiatives, as well as promoting more offense and flow in the game.
More offense. That is very Canadian.
The biggest change next season
Offense.
with the expansion of video review.
And this is the big one.
Will review any
This is the big one.
match penalty call, excluding fighting majors. After review, the major
And once again, we said it before. This is in response to what happened against the Golden Knights.
Here, hold on. I can't hear it.
You cannot hear it.
No, I mean I can, but you.
I was talking.
Right.
Okay, all right. I'll stop talking. Let me mute myself.
After review, the double minor can be confirmed or rescinded in the case of friendly fire.
It's Greenway's stick who catches his own player in the face.
A double minor high sticking penalty, however, cannot be reduced to a minor penalty. In both cases, video review will only be used to review a penalty that is called. Video review will not be used to add a penalty. Video review will also not be used to increase a penalty. For example, from a minor to a major. On to the coach's challenge. A third category will be added to the coach's challenge rule. In addition to goalie interference and offside, plays in the offensive zone that should have resulted in a stoppage but not prior to a goal can now be challenged. Examples include pucks that hit the spectator netting, a hand pass to a teammate in the offensive zone, or pucks that are high stick in the offensive zone. Another change to the coach's challenge rule. The consequences of an unsuccessful coach's challenge will now be made consistent across all three categories. For the first unsuccessful challenge, a team is charged a minor penalty for delay of game. For the second unsuccessful challenge, a double minor penalty for delay of game. There is no penalty, of course, for a successful challenge, and teams may challenge as many plays as they wish. Like in previous seasons, plays in the final minute of the third period and in overtime will be handled by the NHL Situation Rule. Other rule changes include Rule 9.6, helmets. A player on the ice whose helmet comes off during play shall be assessed a minor penalty if he does not either exit the playing surface or retrieve and replace his helmet properly on his head within a reasonable period of time.
That's very significant.
What is reasonable is at the discretion of the official. If a player is making a play on the puck or is in the vicinity of the puck and engaged in the play at the time his helmet comes off, the official may allow him to complete the play before either exiting the ice or retrieving and replacing his helmet. A player who intentionally removes an opponent's helmet during play will be assessed a minor penalty for roughing. Also new for next season, anytime the attacking team is responsible for a puck going out of play in the offensive zone, the ensuing faceoff shall stay inside the offensive zone. Previously, faceoffs remained inside the offensive zone in situations where the puck was shot at the net.
Cleared away by Hedman, but this will be icing. This group has to stay out there.
Yeah, look at those guys.
One of the many rules introduced in 2005-06 was not permitting the defensive team a line change following an icing. Next season, there will be two more scenarios where the defensive team will not be allowed a change. First, when a goalie freezes the puck on any shot from outside the center red line. Second, if the actions of a skater on the defensive team causes a stoppage by unintentionally dislodging the net from its moorings. This does not, however, include a goalie unintentionally dislodging his net. Keep in mind, where the defensive team intentionally dislodges the net will remain a penalty for delay of game. In these two new scenarios, in addition to the defensive team not being allowed a change, no timeout shall be given to the defensive team. And
Wow.
no commercial timeout will be permitted.
Oh,
The final rule change relates to face-off location. Next season, there will be 4 scenarios where the offensive team will get to select which end zone face-off dot they wish the face-off to take place. Following an icing, following a goalie freeze on a shot from outside the red line, following a defensive skater unintentionally dislodging the net, and on the first face-off to begin a power play. These are the rule changes for the NHL's 2019-20 season. Thank you for watching.
and that's it. Those are the rule changes for this season. So, any thoughts, dude? I mean, I think that helmet rule is pretty significant. And
I like that a lot.
it's for player safety, really, more than anything.
Definitely. I'm glad that they did that. Really, I like all the rules that they implemented. I don't think there was a bad one.
I think it's a little bit unfair for especially the no defensive line change rules, because there's that adds more scenarios where you cannot change your defenseman. And I know it was to promote offense, or offense as they call it, but sheesh, man, now you got to stay out there for an outside shot from center. So, but that's if your team does it, which I can get. That's kind of like an icing in a sense. So yeah, your guys should be out there. That's not too bad. When it comes off its moorings, the goal, if it's not your own goalie that doesn't, if it's the goalie that doesn't unintentionally, then you can switch. But if it's not, then you can't. Which I don't know. There's a lot of situations where defensemen are just running into it. There's no way to control that. It's not their fault. It's not intentional in a sense. That you're punishing them for something they couldn't really control because they're flying across the ice. So that's kind of something I don't like about it, about the goal stoppage thing. The coaches challenge stuff, that's significant as well. They keep adding more stuff to it. I guess to please the new fans in Vegas. I guess kind of like how the NFL did that for the Saints. Well, whatever. We got to live with it. That's the new rule changes, so it'll be interesting. That's for sure. All right. Okay, dude. So we're at the 43-minute mark. Don't know where do you want to go from here? Where can we go? Go to football.
Let's do college football.
You want to do college football? You can do it in 17 minutes.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Let's do it then. It's on over.
Give me 1 second.
All right. So, college football, let me get my show sheet real quick, and I guess I'll start it out here. So, the Seminoles are LOL. That's one thing. I have no football to watch this season anymore. There's no football at all. Football sucks for me this year. And it's going to suck for a while. I kind of feel, as long as Willie Taggart's still there, it's going to suck for a while. As long as the Dolphins keep tanking, it's going to suck for a while. So, oh gosh, UVA. And I know they were favored. I know they were favored in the game, but the Seminoles had the game.
Right. Hold on. Give me 1 sec.
Sure.
Go and talk away.
Me? Are you telling me to talk away? Because I'm...
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Just give me a sec.
All right. Well, I'm still playing this hockey. I lost this last game because I'm playing Dream Ice Hockey. And if anybody's played Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, the Winter Olympic Games for the Wii, is their hockey mode is surprisingly deep. I'm going to tell you that. It's surprisingly deep. Like I can throw the puck off the boards. I can actually do I can actually freaking bring it all around the boards if I want to.
Francisco, can I chime in?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, I've got my friend on the line here. He is a college football fan from RCFB, and I figured, I do enough talking as it is, but I only have one viewpoint, so I'd like to bring him in. I'm going to call him Riff because that's his part of his username. So, Riff, welcome to the show.
Hey,
Yo. Thank.
kind of like you mentioned, I am a college football fan, obviously. I also serve as a moderator on the CFB board. I'm also a reporter for SiriusXM, going week to week to different college football stadiums, doing reporting on anything that my employer tells me to.
Oh, that's awesome. That's very great. Thank you for joining us on our lowly little podcast, man. But thank you.
So, Riff, I guess I'll go ahead and say what your loyalties are, unless you want to go ahead and do it.
No, go for it.
So Riff here is primarily a TCU fan. I have that correct, right?
Horned Frogs.
That's correct. That's correct.
Alrighty.
And then secondarily is a Hawaii fan. So he's got.
That's very, very, very wide berth right there, actually. TCU to Hawaii, but sure. Okay.
Yeah, one is the alma mater, the other one's the hometown. Y'all figure out which is which.
Okay. All right.
So we're just gonna, discuss a few things. As I was saying, I have a very limited viewpoint. As does Francisco. He's an FSU fan. And I
My
told.
condolences.
Yeah. No. I just laughed out loud to myself when he mentioned that. But yeah.
So I figured, you have more experience, it seems. So.
Sure.
So, Francisco, what topic would you like to start with?
Well, first off, let's see. From a Florida State standpoint, really, not Stanford, because UCF destroyed them. From a Florida State standpoint, should we fire Willie Taggart because everybody's calling for his head now?
About Willie Taggart?
Yeah.
I mean, the big thing about Willie Taggart is, historically speaking, whenever you look at his teams, he's always started off with a very rough start. I mean, you look at Western Kentucky, you look at South Florida, you look at the job that he's normally done. I mean, he's a master at taking over a rebuilding job, but you don't normally start seeing benefits reaped until about 3 or 4 years down the line. Now, at a program like Florida State, or rather I should say, at a program like a South Florida, when you're in a rebuilding year, you can get away with a 3-9, 2-10 year. Florida State, he went 5-7 last year, and he's already on the hot seat.
Yeah.
He's not doing himself any favors by losing to Boise at home, losing to Virginia on the road, and needing a missed extra point in overtime just to beat ULM.
Yeah.
I think it was Jason Kirk from Banner Society who tweeted after that game. We're not that far away from Florida State having to go through the court of Reddit and public opinion to defend that they were bowl eligible. And we thought that would be the saddest part of the FSU ULM series. And lo and behold, we saw what happened this year.
Oh, gosh. Okay. So, yeah, that's... Andrew had mentioned that before with regards to Willie Taggart teams. So
Right. We had at UCF, we dealt with him a couple of times, and like you were saying, or like I experienced, he is no, that's Charlie Strong. Never mind.
yeah.
But I'll come back to him. But Taggart he looks good on paper, but then he also at times seems like he just doesn't quite have the skill. I don't know. He's very hot and cold. But because of those few hot seasons, he went from Western Kentucky to South Florida to Oregon for a cup of coffee, and then down back to Florida State, which is his dream job. So, we'll see. Like you said, it's like 3 or 4 years before you can kind of get a good gauge on somebody.
Yeah, and that's kind of the same. Well, I think Miami Hurricanes fans are being a lot more patient with Manny Diaz And then they just won 63-0, so they're all kind of satiated at this point down here. That's for sure.
And there's also an element with there where you've got a little bit of that with Willie Taggart as well, where it's the hometown son has returned. With Manny Diaz, his father used to be the mayor of Miami.
Right.
When you talk about who could be a more perfect from an identity to take over for the Miami Hurricanes, Manny Diaz checks off every single box.
Right.
Especially for him, given that this is his first ever head coaching job. I think a lot of people are going to be a lot more forgiving.
Well, technically, he got the job at Temple, but for a little bit. Yeah, I know.
It's still the first place where he's actually coached a game.
Right.
That I think is going to be such a easier curve, because I don't think Miami, obviously, if you're Miami, you want to do championships, you want to be relevant, but at the same time, it's not like we expect to get to the playoffs this year, we're going to make everything happen. There's a sense of understanding at Miami that this is going to be a quick rebuild. And I think there's a small element of that at Florida State. I think if Willie Taggart went, let's say, 7-6, maybe 8-4 last year, a lot of people would be giving them a much longer leash. But it was the fact that they went 5-7 and the way that they went 5-7.
Yeah.
Offensive line not seeming that they knew how to do their jobs. You had play calling that was questionable at best. You had such turnover at all these staffing positions.
Mm-hmm.
That made it really difficult to buy into the fact that Willie Taggart was coming in and he was doing a rebuilding job. When you have the resources, when you have the recruiting ability, when you have everything, I know that Jimbo Fisher did not leave it in the greatest program, but he left it in a better position than what should have been fighting to get to 5-7.
Right. Yeah, I think that's the feel a lot of Seminoles fans have. It's, yes, Jimbo's heart wasn't in it at the end. We get that. But it's not like he left the program completely in shambles. So
Just the offensive line.
Right, which was very important. But we didn't think it would be this... we didn't think we'd sink this low at this point. But...
Florida State was going to be a rebuilding job after Jimbo.
Right.
It should not have been a rebuilding job where it's kind of almost like, to go to a similar example, here in Texas. So I'm based here in Austin, Texas, and there's some big program that may or may not be bad. Who's to say? But for about a decade or so, ever since Mac Brown got to the national championship and lost with Colt McCoy getting hurt, there has been a significant downfall with the University of Texas where, as somebody who went to a school in Texas that is not the University of Texas, it's hilarious and wonderful to the University of Texas be mediocre. But in the grand scheme of things, to have that much of a recruiting budget, to have that much of recruiting fertile ground, to have that pedigree of coaches, to get the results that they've had over the last decade is flat out stunning. And I think that's where we've definitely seen a lot of work with Tom Herman. Last year when he got to the New Year's Six Bowl, nobody really cared about the fact that, he had lost to a Maryland team that went 4-8 with an interim coach.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just the fact that they got there.
Right, but even then, when you look at that, even over Texas' worst seasons, they had 2 5-7 years over a span of a decade. But oftentimes, a bad Texas year was a 6-6, a 7-5, an 8-4. And when you're a Florida State, that is what should be the mediocre building year standard. It should not be 5-7, attempting to just get into a bowl game. It should not be, we're going to beat ULM because they're going to miss an extra point in overtime. This is not the standard that Florida State should be having. And I think that's where the biggest amount of concern from Willie Taggart comes. Not from, can he turn around? Is he going to have time? Because, again, historically, it's going to take him about 3 to 4 years to get the results that he's going to want.
Right.
Out of Florida State, that timeline is just not going to fly.
Yeah. So
let me bring up another topic.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I'm not just bringing this up because I'm a UCF fan and alum, but I'm looking. RCFB has they produce a poll every week, which honestly I think is the best poll out there, or one of the best.
With that.
It's much more accurate, I think, compared to the coaches poll and the AP poll. So I'm looking at your ballot right here. You have
Don't read too much into it.
I mean,
We are still in I believe this is week 4 coming up here. There's still so much missing data. I mean, if you look at my past ballots, teams change so quickly. Like, outside of the top 5, it's honestly mostly a crapshoot. But I'll do my best to try to defend it.
So, my question for you is, you have UCF at 14. I think that's a fair ranking. I would rank them about there myself. So, what I want to know is, what did you glean from the UCF-Stanford game? Does that prove that they're legit? Did you think they were legit before, or do they still have something to prove?
Let's see. Well, first and foremost, I came from another small G5 school from back in the day, so I know exactly what it's like when people are saying, UCF is playing nobody. They're not proving themselves. Well, listen, I lived through that in 2009 and 2010 when TCU was making a Fiesta Bowl run, when they were making a Rose Bowl run, when they were the G5 darlings of the world. For me, this season has not been anything new information-wise with UCF. We've seen over the past 2 years and this year as well that they are a very formidable team. They know what they're doing. I think they've got a great leader in Josh Heupel. I'm a little bit unsure about how great the Stanford game was. I mean, the fact that it was a solid victory for UCF, it was a great non-conference scheduling. It was a great victory in non-conference, but we also saw a Stanford team that just completely fell apart against their rival in USC. Now, this is not to diminish the fact that, UCF was able to get a Power 5 opponent to come down to Orlando, because that's been a very big thing in Danny White's prerogative. And I'm not going to say that it wasn't a good win, but I am going to say it's going to be a continued battle. I think UCF is still going to have a continued uphill battle of proving that they have a schedule that belongs. So one of the big things that marks TCU differently from the way that UCF has been doing it, and Boise State as well to an extent, I believe, Camp, correct me if I'm wrong, they should be somewhere, if I'm about like 11th or so. I think I've got them like right above UCF right now.
You have them at 12 right now.
Okay, I have them at 12 and I have UCF at 14. One of the things for me on that, though, is so UCF, great team, great win against Stanford. But one of the big things that happened with the Boise teams of the 2000s, with the TCU teams of the late 2000s, is they had to play anywhere, anytime type of schedule. If you look at TCU's schedule from back then, they had games where it was a one-off against Oklahoma, a one-off against Texas. They went to Clemson the year that they won the Fiesta Bowl. They did a one-off against a then-ranked Oregon State. That's a very fun sentence to say. In 2010, they did a one-off against BYU in 2011. There was not a whole lot of home-and-home non-conference games, but they took a very strong schedule of we'll play anyone, anywhere, anytime, and on their terms, and they went off and won. And very similarly with Boise State, I mean, if you look at that 2010 season, they played at Virginia Tech in a neutral site game, quote-unquote, which ended up being over at Landover Field. They played games against Georgia in Georgia. They played games anywhere that they could get scheduled as well, and they went and they won those games as well. I think one of the biggest things that's hurt UCF and its perceived scheduling is the fact, Danny White has been doing a bunch of arguments of we need to have home and homes, we are equal to everybody else. Well, right now, I mean, UCF is not even 5 years removed from going 0-12. Like, UCF does not have the sustained history to be making the claims for non-conference that it's claiming right now. So I think the Stanford game is good, and I think it's a great win for them. I think it's a great victory for the program, and I think it's going to help with their strength of schedule argument. But when you have a continued argument of, hey, this is the way that we're going to play, and we're only going to play on our terms, I think that is going to have a lot more effect on strength of schedule than it is a one-off victory against Stanford at home.
Interesting point. What do you think, Francisco?
So, you think that UCF's perception of they'll play anybody anywhere but on their terms has hurt them in the eyes of I guess the Power 5 conferences that they would...
Not necessarily Power Power 5 conferences, but
Okay.
just in the eyes of the voting public, schedulers, all that kind of stuff.
Okay. So I mean, a lot of people perception they always making fun of UCF, and I mean down here in Florida they're seen as a kind of like a little brother university compared to the big three, FSU, UF, and UM, and I think that maybe at some point they will get to that point, but once, like you said, they're not that far removed from having a winless season. So people are just trying to see if this isn't some sort of flash in the pan where, okay, they're good for a few seasons and they'll be back in the basement and we can forget about them. A la, I guess you would say USF in some sense. So those are some good points. Okay, another thing is Kansas back?
Not as fast as Boston College, we know that at this point.
Okay.
I've always taken a very strong stance that the Les Miles hire was a fantastic hire, which I know that there's a lot of people in the national media, particularly Stuart Mandel at The Athletic, who just thought it was a joke of a hire. But for me, I thought it was a brilliant hire because, number one, this is one of the very few teams that has a national championship ring. Funny enough, another one being Mac Brown, who is also at the University of North Carolina, noted football powerhouse. But the fact that they got him, a master recruiter, to come to a place that had no excitement whatsoever. I mean, it was painful, and it's still relatively painful to be a Jayhawks fan. But now we've got a guy who wins national championships and now wins road Power 5 games.
What was this?
Again, another fantastic sentence to say.
What was this? The first one since 2008?
Yes.
Yeah.
At the time that Kansas last won a road Power 5 game, Reddit CFP did not exist. Oh, hey.
So we're talking over 10 years. So I would put this up there perhaps with them beating Texas as like big moments in program history within the past couple of years.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would consider that to be probably the biggest win of the last decade. I mean, everybody does it like, Texas is the big win because of memes. The Boston College first win that shows like actual forward progress with the Jayhawks program.
And I will add that grass consumption in Lawrence has increased 100%.
That's funny.
Absolutely.
Okay, Francisco, do you want any other topics? Because I know that I have one that I want to see what his take is on.
Okay. I mean, another thing is BYU. What the heck is going up with them? They're like spoiling everybody. Yeah.
What is going on with BYU?
Yeah. I mean, sheesh.
I mean, I think, that's a great question for right now. I mean, I think some people saw the potential loss with, or the potential Tennessee Vols loss. I think that was I think it was a pleasant surprise. I don't think it was a shock of a win. But I think the USC one, even though it was also in overtime, was BYU might actually be for real this season. Now, granted, they did lose to Utah in a fairly well-fought battle. But right now, if you look at Utah, they're in the top 10 right now. They're riding high. They are probably the favorites right now for the Pac-12. And the fact that the BYU lost to them in a fairly respectable manner, I think BYU is going to be a team to watch for this season. I would not be surprised if they get another victory this week, that we're going to see them sneaking up a little bit higher, probably into the top 20. Dan, correct me if I'm wrong. I think they're in the receiving votes right now in the poll.
Let's see. They have 12 votes in the AP, and they have 28 votes in the coaches.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I think if there's another victory, and especially if we see a couple more losses with top 25 teams, top 20 teams. I think BYU is sitting at 3-1 with a couple of Power 5 wins and a very respectable loss. I think they're going to easily slip into that top 25, if not top 20.
I got to admit, I mean, I haven't been following college football that long in the grand scheme of things, really since 2011 when I started to become a UCF football fan. But this year seems like there's a lot of really interesting storylines, really interesting upsets and near upsets. This seems like it has the making for a Team Chaos sort of season.
I'll politely disagree with you, mostly because I was around for the greatest chaos season of all, which was 2007.
Right, of course.
I think right now one of the big things that we've got is we've gotten to a point where the top, I'll call it the top 7, are so chalky compared to everybody else. It's hard to imagine that we're ever going to get a scenario of true, actual chaos. Because, I mean, chaos for me would be Clemson loses a regular season game. It would be Alabama doesn't make it to the SEC title game. It would be Oklahoma ends up choking before they get to the Big 12 championship game. I think right now everything is still so chalky that it's very difficult to say that we've got a full-on chaos here. But that is one of the joys of college football, in the fact that every year has a good storyline, whether you care about it or not. I mean, last year we had a fairly chalky championship. We had Alabama-Clemson Part 4, but then Clemson beat the doors down on Alabama. We had fantastic things like Army getting a double-digit win season. We had so many other fantastic storylines just happening all throughout the year, and this year as well, we're seeing the same thing. Like, you know, we had a fairly choppy battle between LSU and Texas, but who could have imagined that the biggest and most entertaining story is, you know, a Seagate, whether there was air conditioning or not in the visitors' like, that's been talked about probably about 20 times more than the actual game itself, and that's the beauty and absurdity of college football.
You gotta love college football. It's, you know, I'm so glad that I went to a school that has a program, has at the time, you know, a decent program. You know, it wasn't at the highs that it's at now, but, you know, they had their first bowl win my freshman year. So I've kind of grown along with the program in terms of my fandom. So, you know, I'm glad that I became a fan, because I think, you know, compared to, like, let's say the NFL, other pro sports, there's so many more interesting storylines and much more you know, team pride and camaraderie in college football than a lot of other pro sports.
You get all that passion.
I mean, this is a sport where, objectively speaking, like, if you go to a University of Oklahoma game, they're going to have a 400-piece band welcoming a gigantic schooner where a guy is going to be on the back of it holding a flag, and 100,000 people are going to chant, cheer, and scream in excitement. You know, this is the same sport where you go to Colorado, they're going to lead a giant buffalo running around the field. You go down to the Deep South, Auburn's going to fly an eagle around the entire place. I mean, this is a sport that welcomes and loves its absurdity and its absolute stupidity.
I was actually, and I agree with that, because a couple days ago, just for out of no reason whatsoever, maybe because of how much we've fallen, but I looked up the intro to the 2013 national championship for the Seminoles, and just seeing Chief Osceola run out into the Rose Bowl and just planting the spear into the field, I was like, yeah, those were good times. And I just started crying a little bit.
The slow single tear coming out of your eye.
Yeah, as my football fandom slowly or quickly wanes. I'm also a Miami Dolphins fan, by the way, so I'm screwed. Oh gosh, that's all that passion that Tim Tebow was talking about, you know, on ESPN. So,
well, Riff, I don't want to take too much more of your time, but really, thank you so much for coming on, giving us a whole different perspective and a much more informed perspective than I ever have. We really appreciate it, and thank you for calling in.
Hey, I really appreciate the time. Thanks for having me on.
All right, thank you.
All right, take care.
All right, take care, well, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Wow, so man, dude, that was gosh, we sounded like a real radio program there.
I know.
Gosh.
I mean, the guy works for Sirius, so
Yeah, no, he sounds like it too. He sounds exactly like it. Gosh, I have like I know I've reported hockey games and stuff, but nobody's ever called me to actually ask my opinion on hockey or anything like that. But wow, that was fantastic. I'm so glad that you were able to schedule that. So, okay, so if no further ado, we're way past our halfway point. I don't know if you want to do this segment now.
yeah, let's do it. Why not?
Alrighty, so I'm gonna pause the video game here, and we're gonna go to one of our favorite segments. Sorry, gosh darn it, I'm so flustered now. I feel just goosebumps from that one. A word from our non-sponsors. I don't know why Angel Stadium always pops up. I gotta freaking erase that. Speaking of which, there's baseball games going on. The Angels are losing 8-0 to the Yankees. Okay, now a word from our non-sponsors. We're Andrew, and Charles isn't here, and I talk about people, places, things, concepts, animals. I don't know, whatever the heck we've been enjoying over the past week. Since our last show, we talk about it, we give shout outs to it, we appreciate it, we give them hugs, and that's what we do. So it's our favorite segment, and unfortunately Charles isn't here, and I don't know who's the opener for this week, dude.
I'll go, and then we should kind of have a list down of what games or what order that we go in.
Okay, go ahead, dude. You're up.
So, my non-sponsor is Piranha Pierogies.
Okay. Piranha as in like the animal?
Exactly. Piranha Pierogies.
Gosh, how do you spell pierogies?
Pierogi.
Okay, got it. Piranha pierogies. Okay.
You're not going to find it.
I'm not going to find it, yeah, because
it does not exist.
It does not exist? Okay.
Here's what it is. I've been kind of going on a nostalgia kick recently.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my favorite computer games growing up was Triple Play 2001 for the PC.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Back when EA Sports actually gave a damn about making good games. So it was such a campy game. So my non-sponsor is old EA Sports. Let me get the actual non-sponsor in there. Is old school EA Sports.
Old school EA Sports. Okay, I can dig it.
The reason I said Piranha Pierogies, the game was really campy. So they had a lot of fake advertisements. They had a home run derby sort of thing where the fields were the moon, where if you hit a home run, it would go over 1,000 feet.
Yes. Uh-huh.
You had a medieval castle. You had a construction site. You had a living room where you were essentially shrunk down to the size of an ant. So it was just a gigantic living room, so you could hit, you could break, well, not really break, because they didn't have the graphic capability back then. You could, break family portraits, turn on a CD player, things like that. So Piranha Pierogies, it's the food that bites back, was one of the advertisements in-game.
Okay, well, let's see if I can look for it. Triple Play Baseball, which year?
2001.
2001. Okay.
But of course, following Madden and other things like that, it was a year behind, so it was released in 2000. But they caught up eventually. I think it was in 2002, where they eventually caught up and did it in the correct year, quote unquote.
Uh-huh. Oh my gosh, it's the living room.
I see. I told you.
And the pitcher's mound and home plate are CDs.
Yeah.
The foul pole is like a candle. Oh my gosh, this is like when I used to make baseball fields out of like the stuff in my room.
Exactly.
Wow, I used to do that.
YouTube has a lot of clips like that, even longer clips. Unfortunately, I've tried looking. They don't have the moon base, which was my favorite field to play on because you could just blast the ball into, well, not into the atmosphere since there is very little atmosphere. Well, I guess there is an atmosphere on the moon. But the point is, you could blast the ball unhumanly distances just based on because there was no gravity, and the intro to the game is amazing too. The intro song is a remix version of Magic Carpet Ride by Steppenwolf. Such a fun game. I really enjoyed playing it. And like I said, I've been kind of on a nostalgia kick recently. So that game just kind of came to mind, and that's why I chose it. So promo code, why not, Piranha Pierogies.
All right, gosh, wow, dude. And I mean, I'm kind of in the same vein as this non-sponsor here, because my non-sponsor actually goes to the Nintendo Wii. Okay.
Nice.
And it goes to the Nintendo Wii because
watch the things. Like you saw, there was like the video's on a massive delay for me.
Right.
But you could see different fields.
There's the living room field again. And this is the PS1 version, but it goes to Nintendo Wii because once again I'm playing a Nintendo Wii game right now on the screen here, and it just reminded me of really and the thoughts of Florida State and stuff when I was at Florida State. And I remember my first year at FSU. I had a roommate that I did not even speak to barely ever, and so when I was home, like, all I really had was my TV and my Nintendo Wii to kind of keep me entertained. That's because the next year I would eventually move in with my best friend, and we would just like freaking have a blast. But my first year was kind of rough, just at home. So I played a ton of Wii games, like a ton of Wii games. I used it for everything. I used it for watching. Like, back when YouTube never used to copyright strike anything, there were so many TV shows. But there were so many TV shows and stuff back in the day that you could just watch full episodes of. I watched the entire series of Kenan and Kel on my Nintendo Wii. Because I didn't have a DVD player or anything like that. I just had that. It was just the internet and that. So, I played games like this, Mario and Sonic, Winter Olympic Games and stuff, and I remember when I eventually moved in with my best friend, sometimes towards the end of the end of my first year, actually, when everybody was finding their new roommates and stuff and getting ready to move in. So we moved into our new place that very same year at the end of my first year at Florida State, and he had an Xbox 360, which red ringed. So he got a PS3 afterwards, which didn't red ring, and I had my Wii, but I had like a million games because I had GameCube games, I had Wii games, and I modded my Wii at that point, so I just had a ton of games, and basically all of our friends were like, "Man, this place is like a freaking arcade." I'm like, "Yep, that was the point. That was the point of doing all this." So yeah. So thank you to Nintendo and the Wii. I know a lot of people thought it was gimmicky, but I played the heck out of it. I think it's my favorite console ever. It could play every single game imaginable, from Sega to PlayStation to Nintendo. And it was a little machine that could, and it brought me so much happiness and joy in my college years. So Promo code piracy. Oh gosh. Piracy. Okay, let me do what I always do around the second half is run through the baseball scores. And I think we can move on to baseball from here. And then we might catch some NFL at the end of this. Usually our NFL guy is Charles, and he's not here, so we'll get through some baseball first. According to the score crawl, the Yankees are destroying the Angels, but Mike Trout is out for the season now. There's no point in him rehabbing and coming back at this point. The Angels are going to ruin him like the Oilers are ruining Connor McDavid. So that's
happening. He got a good payday, so I don't think he cares.
Yeah.
I'm sure he cares.
I'm sure he cares because I don't think he wants to be another Ken Griffey Jr. I mean, Ken Griffey Jr. never won a World Series. Never even made it past the American League Championship Series. And only went there once. So Mike Trout deserves more out of this than what he's got. Okay. Rangers and Astros, nothing. Astros still trying to get home field advantage throughout the playoffs, along with the Yankees and the Dodgers. Aforementioned Yankees winning by a lot. Blue Jays up 3-2 against the Orioles. Matters for the Orioles because they are in that tankathon, and we'll get to that. Mariners and Pirates doesn't matter. Giants and Red Sox. You would think it would matter, but the Red Sox are pretty far out of it at this point, even though they have a winning record. Tigers and Indians matters on both fronts. Indians still fighting for a wild card spot. Tigers are winning the tankathon at this point. Braves and Phillies. Phillies trying to hang on. Braves trying to just seal their spot. They still haven't clinched, which is surprising, but they will. They've clinched. I'm sorry, they did clinch. Phillies just trying to hang on, but looks like the NL Central teams are pushing forward. Padres and Brewers. Brewers are the hottest team in baseball and even after losing Christian Yelich, so all of my ranting was for naught. The White Sox and the Twins. The Twins look like they are for real as long as they don't face the Yankees in the first round because they always seem to lose to them.
Well, everyone's losing to the Yankees. The Yankees are their Yankeeing.
Yeah, but the Yankees are like the bane of the the Twins' playoff existence. I think like the past 4 series against the Yankees, they just haven't been able to beat them. Mm-hmm. Nationals and Cardinals, another big game for both teams. Cardinals hanging on to that NL Central. Cubs and Reds. Cubs losing 3-0 to the Reds in the first, but that game just started, so plenty of time there. Mets and Rockies. Mets trying to hang on in this wild card race against the Rockies tonight. A's and Royals. The A's very, very tenuous in that spot, along with the Rays and the Dodgers from LA. Dodgers trying to be the best team in baseball. Rays trying to hang on to a wild card spot. So that is all of the games for today. We're going to run through, actually, let me put on the search bar real quick. And we're going to go through the standings right now because we're going to get and see a lot of the pretenders and the contenders and the separation that is happening. So, okay. As soon as this thing freaking loads, but I have it here on my freaking phone. The Braves looks like they've clinched the playoff spot. They haven't clinched the division yet, but that's only their magic number is 3, so that's just a matter of this week. The Cardinals still only 2 games ahead of the Cubs, 3 over the Brewers. Okay, we have right here the Yankees are running away with their division. Their magic number is 3, so that should be this week when they'll finally clinch the American League East. The Twins are now, and I'm saying the Twins are for real now because they have finally separated a pretty nice cushion over the Indians. 5 games ahead, 8 is their magic number. Astros, 4 is their magic number, 8 games ahead of the A's. National League, I already said the Braves, the Cardinals, and in the NL West, the Dodgers ran away with it a long, long time ago. Wild card. Wild card is where we're really seeing the fun races here. The American League is just, it's a 3-team race. It is a 3-team race. The A's, really realistically, they're not going to really catch up to the Astros. Same thing for the Rays and the Yankees. And the Twins are finally pulling ahead of the Indians. So, 3 teams fighting for 2 spots in the wild card. The A's are only 1 game ahead of the Rays, and that rhymes. And the Tribe is 1.5 games behind the Rays. Lots of baseball left. I think we're down to like almost to single digits in the games left at this point. I think there's only,
we're getting close.
For a lot of teams, there's only like 12, 11, 10 games left. So, do or die time. I think this American League wild card is going to come down to the end. We might get to game 162 and it probably won't be decided.
You think so?
I think so. These teams have been neck and neck for all this time. The Indians have the Tigers right now, which helps them out. The Rays are against the Dodgers, which is not very helpful. The A's are facing,
not very helpful.
Yeah, the A's are facing the Royals. So you have 2 teams that are actively tanking on one side against 2 teams trying to make the playoffs, and the Rays are facing the Dodgers, who still haven't clinched home field throughout the World Series. That's not going to be great for them. Let's move on to the National League, and then we'll break down into looking closely at the schedules of these teams heading towards the end. So maybe we can make a prediction as to who's going to finish out at the end.
I hate giving predictions.
Yeah,
but okay.
Yeah, but this is the time, dude. This is, first off, I think we can definitively say the Phillies, Mets, and the Diamondbacks are pretenders, right? They're 5 games back now. Their record in the last 10 games have been great. 4-6 for the Phillies, 5-5 for the Mets, 3-7 for the Diamondbacks. They just don't have it this year. They really don't. The Brewers got hot, really at the point where everybody thought they would have fallen off, losing their MVP candidate, and yet here they are, 9-1 in their last 10. Only 1 game back of the Cubs for that second wild card spot, and not that far back of the Cardinals for the Central.
Right.
And that Central probably will come down to the end as well. So I think we're going to get to a game 162 for both sides of the National League and American League wild card. I think we won't have a definitive winner until that point. The Cardinals are 5-5 in the last 10, and that does not give me much confidence. They got better in this last month, but the Cardinals have shown me this season that they've fallen into rough patches, and I could see them doing it again to finish out this close of the season. But that's why I want to look at the schedules for these teams heading towards the end, because it's going to be something. It's going to be something interesting, and it's going to be exciting. That's the great thing about baseball in September. We're getting excitement for the first time in a while, and it's going to go into October. And I think for baseball, it's great because we're going to have this. I think a game 162, maybe a tiebreaker. If we could have tiebreakers, and then heading into the 1-game playoff for the wild cards.
Right.
That's great television right there. Before we move on to that, we're gonna check the Tankathon, because that also matters to a guy like me who is a Marlins fan, and the Marlins have done their darndest to finish this season with the best of tank intentions, because they are awful this past 40 games. This past quarter of a season that's left. Wow, this has been quite the tank job, if I do say so myself. The Detroit Tigers have lost 104 games, and they are not stopping. They are 3.5 games up on the Baltimore Orioles, who have done a pretty darn good job in their last few games to tank their way to the bottom here. They are 3-7 in their last 10. The Tigers are 4-6. So the Orioles are trying their darndest to get that number 1 pick. And the Marlins are 6.5 games back. I think the Marlins have a shot of getting that number 2 pick, and that would be nice to slot in there. But I think it's safe to say, because the Marlins are 6.5 games back, and the Royals are the next team behind them, and they're 10 games back. I think the Marlins are. I think it's safe to say they're gonna at least get the number 3 pick for the 2020 MLB draft. Marlins are 2-8 in their last 10. Once again, fantastic tank job. I think the Dolphins are inspired by them, and it's only gonna get worse. So. Let's see. Do we have any players of the week that were announced? I'm going to check real quick. Andrew, any baseball headlines you want to talk about while I look this up?
Say again?
Any baseball headlines you want to talk about while I look this up? Ooh, we got some good ones. Okay. Well, I do have our players of the week.
Go ahead.
MLB players of the week for the week of, was it the 16th or whatever? I don't know. The past week. We have Chris Bryant of the Chicago Cubs. So that is 1. And then we have, sorry, gosh darn it. Where's the American League one? There he is. All right, and then we have Eloy Jimenez, left fielder for the Chicago White Sox. I mean, somebody for the White Sox. Okay, at least something for them this season. The White Sox have been in quite a downward spiral for quite a while. They can't seem to get out of their mediocrity. They're kind of like I don't know what to say about them. Just haven't been doing that great for the past few years. They're trying, but I think Jose Abreu might leave. I think the Marlins, they could have a shot at him. He's Cuban, but I doubt it. Anyways, Chris Bryant. I'm just rambling at those. Chris Bryant. Oh boy, another. This is actually this is interesting. He's won the NL Rookie of the Year in 2015, NL MVP in 2016. But this is the first time he's the first time he's ever been the National League Player of the Week. Those accolades, and this is the first time he's won the Player of the Week award. So he hit 500, 11 for 22, 5 home runs, 13 RBIs, 1.72 OPS in 6 games, and he had 2 homers against the Pirates on Sunday, and he hit that, which got him over the 30 home run mark for the first time since 2016. Eloy Jimenez, rookie, hit 435, 500, 870 for his batting line, 3 home runs, 11 RBIs in 6 games, and his OPS since August 29th is 1.070. And this is the second Sox player this year to win it. So, all right. So those are our players of the week. All right. So speculation time. Do you want to do it, Andrew? If not, we can move on. We're at the 1.5 hour mark.
Is it Mark?
Mark. Mm-hmm.
Mark.
I can move on to our smaller segments. We can talk about that with Charles next week.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna be the final week of the season. So
yeah.
All right. We'll move on. Let's go to our smaller segments here. Let's go with Better Know a Minor League Team. So this is our segment where we highlight the 4 billion minor league teams that are out there. They're like galaxies. There's just a ton of them. Amongst Major League or the minor league baseball, minor league hockey, and minor league basketball. This week, because of the start of the National Hockey League's preseason, I decided to choose a minor league team, Andrew.
Alrighty, let's hear it.
Okay, so as soon as I find the frickin' search bar here, I have to label these a lot better. But my team is a certain team from the province of. It's in Eastern Canada. I don't know if you can guess it.
Eastern Canada?
Eastern Canada, the maritime provinces. They
The Newfies?
yes, dude. That is right. Okay. And it is okay. We went over this before, and I know you like to say things correctly.
Newfoundland.
Newfoundland. Okay, not Newfoundland. Not Newfoundland.
It's Newfoundland.
Newfoundland. It's okay. The team is the Newfoundland Growlers. Okay. Of the East, well, it's no longer the East Coast Hockey League. It's just the ECHL.
Yep.
They were founded in 2018 and promptly pulled a Golden Knights by going all the way to the Kelly Cup Finals. But unlike the Golden Knights, these guys were able to finish. They won in their inaugural season out in St. John's. They are the affiliate of the Toronto Maple Leafs. They have won championship their inaugural season. They play at the Mile 1 Center out in St. John's, Newfoundland. Oh, gosh darn it, dude. You freaking confused me already. Newfoundland and Labrador.
Newfoundland.
Yes. Their arena opened in 2001. Capacity of 7,600 for hockey. Interestingly, their mascot is not a dog. You know what it is? Can you guess?
Let me take a look at their logo real quick.
They're the Growlers, dude. They have a fantastic logo, by the way. It's on screen if you want to see it.
Oh, it's a great logo.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I thought it was it's a breed.
No, it's actually a puffin. It's Buddy the Puffin. A puffin is a bird, and the reason it's Buddy the Puffin is because they kind of pulled a Montreal Canadiens, where St. John's used to have a minor league team. They were the St. John's Maple Leafs, and their mascot was Buddy the Puffin. So when they finally put a new team back in Newfoundland, gosh darn it, man, they brought back their old mascot, kind of like how the Canadiens took the Expos mascot and Youppi and repurposed him for hockey. So, and actually, and the funny thing is, this team is the affiliate of the Maple Leafs, and they're going to be throwing back to when they were the St. John's Maple Leafs by having St. John's Maple Leafs throwbacks this season. Mm-hmm. So it all comes around in full circle. So that's the Growlers, dude. So I'm just happy the hockey's back, man. I'm just really happy. As you can tell.
I'm looking forward to getting back over to the. What is it now? Did they ever announce what the BB&T Center is going to be called now?
Well, let's see. According to, because what had happened was BB&T and SunTrust are merging, and so I think the name that they came up with was Truist, Truist. That's the name that they're coming up with.
The Sentinel is saying.
Yeah, so I'm assuming that the BB&T Center will become the Truist Center or Truist Arena, whatever they're going to call it. And I'm assuming the Braves are going to have to change their ballpark name to Truist Park or something. So
now let me say this: this is a real superlative here. It's not a true center. It's not a truer center. It's the Truist Center.
Oh gosh,
we're talking extreme superlatives here, my friend.
We should send that to the freaking Panthers, man. They actually might use that as their motto for the arena, because I think their slogan for that arena since it ever opened was the center of it all. It's always been National Car Rental Center, Office Depot Center, Bank Atlantic Center, and BB&T Center. So that could work if they ever were to switch it up. Okay, so that's better know a minor league team. Let's move on. What have we got here? We can do Do I have a haul? Well, actually, I didn't want to do Let's Haul Y'all because we actually had someone special for Charles, and we just can't do it without him here. So we're going to
Yeah.
skip that.
Let's skip it.
And let's go with, and we can't do the cage. We cannot, definitely do not do that. Let's go with players we remember to forget.
Let's do that. Let's remember some people, shall we?
Okay, is there anybody that you want us to remember, Andrew? Anybody in particular?
Let's see.
Random player out of nowhere. I'm pretty not sure you could pick one out of a hat.
I can't tell you much about him. I'll look him up though, so I can get some data on him.
I mean, we could just look him up now, but
Mike Lamb.
Mike Lamb sounds vaguely from baseball player.
Correctamundo.
Oh, didn't he have a brother that was an umpire?
I'm not sure.
I may be mistaken, but okay. So all right, Mike Lamb. Oh, he played for the Marlins. Dear Lord, I do not. Oh wait, signed a minor league contract with the Marlins, major league roster, and then promptly designated for assignment the next month. Okay, and recalled to replace Cameron Maben. Okay, I do not even remember Mike Lamb playing for the Marlins, but I do recognize the name. Yes. Oh wow, yeah, he played for the Astros. That's, I guess, his most significant stop.
The reason why I bring him up is since he was in the Rangers farm, since he played for the Rangers, he naturally went through the Rangers farm system.
Mm-hmm.
He played for the Tulsa Drillers back when I used to live there.
Ah, okay.
And that's a name that always kind of stood out for me. Want to know another player that played while I lived in Tulsa?
Hold on, let me look up his statistics. Mike Lamb. Let's see.
So Wikipedia has his batting average as 276.
Mm-hmm.
RBIs is 349 and 69 home runs.
Nice.
Nice.
Very nice indeed. 10 years in Major League Baseball, played for the Rangers, the Astros, the Twins, the Brewers, and the Marlins. He only played 39 games with the Marlins. His shortest stint was with the Brewers back in 2008. He was traded to Milwaukee during that season. And, yeah. Okay. Let's see. Doesn't seem to have any sort of accolades, no...
No, he didn't really
stand out.
stand out, but
Okay.
the name kind of stood out for me. And plus, but I lived there and I saw him play, so
Yeah.
there we
Okay.
go.
And then was a significant part of the Astros in their 2005 run to the World Series. All right. So that's Mike Lamb. Let's do mine now. I picked one that he's actually kind of significant, but also kind of not. Morris Stroud.
That's a new one.
Yep. And the reason because I heard of his name in SB Nation video.
Really?
I don't know if you've ever watched the SB Nation videos called Weird Rules.
Of course.
Okay, so one of the rules in the NFL is named after him. And it's also kind of interesting.
Which rule was it?
Okay, it's the goaltending rule.
Yes.
So the story is, Morris Stroud, he won a Super Bowl, by the way. He won Super Bowl IV with the Kansas City Chiefs. He also won an AFL championship, well, thus why they went to Super Bowl IV. He's from Miami, Florida, but then he lived out his days out in Kansas City. Played for Clark Atlanta in college, drafted in the 3rd round in the NFL in 1969, which is very nice. And
A lot of nice going on this week.
yeah, he was 6'10". He's believed to have been the tallest tight end ever and the second tallest player at any position in the history of the NFL. The thing is, he was a basketball player in college. Mm-hmm. He was a basketball player. He was a center and a power forward. and had little experience on the gridiron, but Chiefs head coach. And if you watch the SB Nation video, he's basically like Henry Stram. Basically, just picked him because this guy is freaking huge. So caught 54 passes, 977 receiving yards, 7 touchdowns in his career, 49 games started, and once again, 69 games played.
Nice.
Yes, he might have been the nicest player in the history of football.
Definitely.
And Rule 12, Section 3, Article 1 is informally known as the Stroud Rule. Goaltending by any player leaping up to deflect a kick as it passes above the crossbar of a goalpost is prohibited. The referee could award 3 points for a palpably unfair act. And that is the rule named after him. He does have an SB Nation video after him. I don't know why it's not in the references on Wikipedia. We should remedy that, but I'm not going to do that right now. Go watch the video. Go on SB Nation, search weird rules, goaltending, NFL. You'll get it. Fantastic, fantastic series. And I always shout out to my SB Nation peeps. Okay, anybody else in this segment, dude? Nah. Anybody even
I can't really
itching?
think of anything, to be honest.
Nobody even itching to talk about? Nah. Okay. Let me go back to my show sheet real quick.
Oh, and let me answer that question, which you never answered.
What?
How polite of you.
What?
Another player that I saw play for the Tulsa Drillers, Fernando Tatis.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, but is he a player we can remember to forget? He's pretty memorable for that.
And do you know why he was memorable?
Certain Grand Slams, right?
I think he had 2 grand slams
Yep.
in the same inning
Against the same pitcher.
against the same pitcher.
Was it Hideo Nomo, right?
Chan-Ho Park, I believe.
Oh,
Or
it might have been Channel. It's one of those two. I always get them mixed up. Not for any reasons outside of just they're just both Japanese pitchers, and they kind of both came up at the same time.
I don't think Chan-Ho Park is Japanese. I think he's Korean.
No, but wasn't he born in the United States though? I'm not even sure.
Oh, look.
Whatever. We could use these fancy computers in front of us. That would
Yeah,
help.
I'm looking it up right now.
Ooh, Channel Park.
It was against Chan-Ho Park.
Okay, he's South Korean, and it was against him. Okay, and Hideo Nomo was Japanese.
Damn, I'm on the money.
You're on the money with your Asian baseball players from the late '90s.
While we're talking about him,
Can we throw a
I don't know-
Hideki Irabu out here? Is that our player we can remember to forget?
Who is that?
You don't remember him?
What's the name?
I think it was Hideki Irabu. There he is. There he is. Played for the Yankees. Oh, he died? I did not know that. Oh, wow, there. Gosh, Debbie Downer here, who was born in 1969 of all years. He played for the Yankees, Expos, and Rangers. And he won the World Series twice with the Yankees, 98 and 99. Oh, wow. Let's see. What were his stats in 98 especially? Because that was the really good Yankees team.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, Hideki Irabu. There we are, dude. Yeah, he died in 2011. Gosh, the years go by. Let's see.
To kind of pick things up a little bit, that it's a little more happy.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I always loved about Hideo Nomo was the dude had an amazing what's that word? Pitching motion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wikipedia calls it tornado. I mean, if you want to pull up a video of it, but it's definitely up there with one of the most iconic pitching motions. He would literally turn his back to the batter.
Let me see if I can find it real quick.
He was a righty, so he would step back with his left foot, turn his right foot to be parallel to the rubber. Then he had got so much torque, his back would literally be facing the batter, and he was looking towards center field. And then he would just unwind himself, boom, throw to home plate.
Yeah.
And I think he got like a no-hitter or something.
So here's his pitching motion in slow motion. By the way, that's a really slow motion, but here we go. There he is.
Two career no-hitters.
Yeah. Okay, that's really slow motion. This is way too slow of a motion, actually. Can I speed this up? Okay, so here he is, leg kick, and back completely to the batter. And then frickin' unwinding after that. That's his, yeah.
Like, that's just, it's so memorable and so unique. I guess he didn't look back toward center, but nonetheless, you know, his back is literally, like I said, it's literally facing home plate.
Mm-hmm.
So, and hey, it worked for him. He got 2 no-hitters.
So let's see. And we're gonna look at this last clip here. No thanks. Hideo Nomo versus the Marlins, actually. When he struck out 17 batters.
Or maybe it was just the one, and then he did one.
So there he is, striking out Gary Sheffield. Let's strike him out, throw him out, double play here. There he is, striking out Jeff Conine. A lot of significant Marlins on this squad here. Gosh. Yeah. Dude was... I think a lot of players, a lot of people don't really remember him too much after that, but...
yeah.
I do remember Channel Park for... Who was it that he fought? And he did like kind of like a
kick.
Yeah, like a kick. But who was it that he fought? Who was the one who charged the mound against him? Hold on, let's see. I'm gonna look that up right now. Chan Ho Park. Kick. That's actually the first thing that pops up. Dodgers and Angels bench clearing ball. Chan Ho Park goes after Angels pitcher Tim Belcher. Okay, after Park's bunt in the bottom. Okay, here it is. So this was the Freeway series. Back when the Angels were wearing their Disney uniforms. There's a lot of ads for this Apple Watch. Dear Lord. Can't even skip it. Okay, here we are.
I will say, kind of sort of on the same topic. I know we're getting way off topic here, but
yeah.
I wish they were still the California Angels. I like their logo. I like their uniform set. I much prefer it to what they're wearing now. And let's be honest, the Los Angeles Angels, they at least they dropped the of Anaheim part a couple of years ago.
I still think they should be the Anaheim Angels because they're not LA.
Right. I don't know. Maybe it's just nostalgia for Angels in the outfield.
So yeah, there's the brawl right there between the Angels and the Dodgers.
I wouldn't say it's a kick so much as it was an attempt.
It was an attempt. So let's see. Are they going to show it in slow motion again?
An attempt was made, and it was not successful.
So here it is again, and then he turns around. He kind of gives him a shove, and then that's when he tries to do the kick. But he doesn't have enough space in order to execute it. I think
Right.
if he was like maybe 3 feet back, he probably would have connected.
Right.
Okay. All right. So where do we go from here? What do we have? 154. Anything more, dude? We're heading towards the end of the show.
Right. I don't know. We missed a lot of input from Charles.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about the NFL next week. 154. I mean, we know the Dolphins are tanking. They got rid of Minka Fitzpatrick now. That's a thing.
Do you want to cover that real quick?
I can cover that now because the issue with there's a lot of people on board with this tank. of course, we didn't think it would be to this magnitude. I didn't think it would be to this magnitude. I thought the tank would be glorious, but this is like, I don't know. This is this. If the Dolphins go 0-16, it's the Hall of Fame of tanks. It really is. It is the Hall of Fame of tanks if they go 0-16, and they've got like 4 billion draft picks now in the first round. They got the Steelers' first round draft pick. It might be a good pick if the Steelers, because now they lost Captain F, Fat F, if you want to call him, as Urinating Tree calls him, for the season. And the Steelers may not be able to recover. Who knows? But it could be a good pick. The Texans, we might be rooting against them, and that could be a good pick as well for the Tunsil and Stills trade. So... but it all comes down to, is it unfair for some people? Because there was a video, Clay Ferrero, who's one of the local news sports reporters here, sportscasters for the ABC affiliate here in Miami, he had a video of a guy who travels, I think he travels about maybe 4 or 5 hours to Dolphins games. I think he lives somewhere like maybe in the Treasure Coast or something like that. Mm-hmm. And the guy was upset. I was like, man, they embarrass us. We spend our hard-earned money to come out here, or spend our whole day out here to come and see this, and they embarrass us. And people criticize that guy, thinking like, well, what did you expect? You bought season tickets. What did you expect? And the guy who and Clay Ferraro was like, he kind of wished he kind of gave more context as to, because people thought he was just some sort of ignorant Dolphins fan, and it kind of goes towards the argument against tanks, that it's unfair to your fan base. It's unfair to a lot of people, really. It's unfair to your players, which is why Minka Fitzpatrick wanted out. It's unfair to your fans because a lot of people pay good money to go watch them. I don't know why they would pay to see the Dolphins. I find people who pay to see the Dolphins crazy, especially after all these years of mediocrity. So, but I think people were, maybe they had this thought that, okay, it's another year of mediocrity. At the very least, I'll get some good games in there. Not total, complete embarrassment. And I can kind of get behind that sentiment. Like, nobody wants to be completely embarrassed. Like, UCF, you guys went through a winless season. That still stings for you. After all this, I mean, doesn't it? At some point, it still hurts having that season.
Yes and no.
Okay.
Let me tell you why the no.
Okay.
If we hadn't gone 0-12, if we hadn't gone 0-8, then George O'Leary would not have stepped down, not just as athletic director, but as head coach.
Okay.
In the wake of him leaving,
things have gotten better.
That enabled our new. Let me give a quick timeline. I know we only have 2 minutes, but our athletic director Todd Stansbury left for Georgia Tech, which is his alma mater. So in his absence, George O'Leary became also the interim athletic director. For obvious reasons, he couldn't handle both. So eventually the team was just not doing well. He dropped the athletic director thing, and then eventually he just quote unquote retired. So that left an interim head coach. I think it was Sean Beckton. But eventually he left after 8 games. O'Leary did. So the remaining 4 games were under Beckton. Lost all 4 of those. We brought in Danny White from the University of Buffalo, SUNY Buffalo.
Yeah.
Because there was no existing head coach, that allowed Danny White to find who he wanted. He found Scott Frost from the University of Oregon.
Okay. Okay, but during that season, was it awful? Was it really awful?
Sucked.
Okay, so that's, I guess that's more to my point. Like, being in it is really, really bad. Really, really bad. So I can get behind that. Like, this Marlins season right now, it's not fun. It's not fun. And I know the Marlins were gonna be this bad. I didn't think they'd be 100 losses bad, and they're gonna get to that point soon enough. They're only 2 losses away. So, but I didn't think it would be that bad. So it's not fun being in this sort of situation. I've gone through it with the Panthers. Now I'm going the Dolphins. But the egregiousness of this has the airs of what the Sixers did in Philadelphia. This is all according to a plan, and I can get the sentiment of why people are upset, but in the end, I'm still for it. In the end, I think Will Manso, who's the head of sports for local ABC 10, he's still for it. He's saying he still agrees. It's not fun, but ultimately this is the course of action the Dolphins should have done a long time ago. They shouldn't have stuck out with Ryan Tannehill for so long. And the only criticism that I have now is I wanted the Dolphins to tank, but I'm still not very sure that the people who are in charge of the tank right now know what the heck they're doing. And that's the scary part. And Charles had mentioned it before. Chris Greer was part of the last regime, and now you have this guy in that position to make the big choices. So that's the scary part, that we could do all this tanking, get all these draft picks, and we have the wrong people making the choices afterwards. That's the scary part. And it's one thing that I always send a text to Doug. The Dolphins are always going to find a way to dolphin it up. And I fear the dolphining of this is going to happen. Not now, but probably during the draft or something like that. They'll dolphin it up in some way. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they don't even pick Tua. That could happen. Maybe they don't pick him. But even then, who knows? But we're at the 2-hour mark, and I think we're done here. Right?
It was a good show. A little unconventional, although...
Yeah, we haven't done the duo thing in a long while.
That's the way it used to be. It used to be you, me, and Doug. But Doug hasn't been able to be on in a while, at least a year, if not more.
Right.
So kind of getting back to our roots a little bit, but I think the most fun was having Riff on.
Yeah, that was very nice. Thank you to Riff for hopping on and joining us. We hope that you tell other people about our show, and yeah, no, I mean it's always nice, and just the fact that he came on, we got a different perspective from somebody who's in the industry as well.
And actually, that was our first guest.
Yeah, that was our first true guest, and yeah, I don't know what else to say, man. I don't know what else to say.
I think we should just call it a night here.
Okay, so to everybody, we're gonna post this. Follow us everywhere, Instagram. There's Nemo. I don't know if anybody you've heard of Nemo, but there's a thing called Nemo, and you can watch us on it. But the big stuff: YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, our Patreon, patreon.com/Sports Goofs. If you want to donate to us, yeah. I mean, we're big in Russia, that's for sure. Okay. Good night.
All right. Good night, everyone.